Hello, welcome to the Business Edge with Central Willamette. I'm Eric, and I'm here with Andy Shelley today, the co-founder and CEO of CannXperts, a trailblazing company that is the forefront of the cannabis compliance, operation, and consulting in the Oregon cannabis industry. Andy, I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking a little bit about some stuff before we went live, but I just want to take the time. Again, thanks for joining us. Can you take a little bit of time to tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to starting up CannXperts?
Oh, the path.
Yeah.
I got into the cannabis industry, not the typical path. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've started a lot of businesses, first business at 22. And, at some point, and they were small businesses. They weren't very successful. You have to fail a bunch of times before you get one that works. But at some point, I took a 12-year hiatus from business, and I decided to become a law enforcement officer. So I was a deputy sheriff up in Clackamas County, became part of the major crimes team.
So the other side of the cannabis industry.
The other side. You got to see it from, and I'm going to do this again one more time. But I was a cop and, working those cases and mostly major crimes cases. And in 2016, after 10 years, I was just kind of getting burned out and decided I wanted to do something a little different. And I was looking around and I saw that the OLCC was hiring for a marijuana inspector. And seemed like a fun job. Go out to farms, look around at plants. This is going to be much better for my psyche. So, I got that job in 2016, and I worked there for a couple of years. And I think at that time I was starting to get to know the industry, which I knew nothing about. And of course, it was brand new in Oregon, and we were still making rules and regulations and all that type of thing up at the OLCC. But I really started kind of liking the folks that I was meeting when I was out on the road. And I noticed that a lot of the time, things that they were getting into trouble for, it wasn't really nefarious activities. It was mostly that there were so many rules and regulations that you had to follow that it was pretty easy to miss one.
Forgot to cross a T or dot an I or something.
Oh, yes.
Not leaving it out completely. Yeah.
And I just thought, after a couple of years, and I really was good at the rules and the regs, and I'd met enough people, I thought, this is a good business. I could do their licensing, which at that point there were, dozens of, government paperwork you had to fill out and hoops you had to jump through. And then when it came to the regulations, I was really good at reading, understanding those. And I mean, there's probably 300 pages of regulations.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you had to go through all those and understand there's always got to be one of those. That's a super important job. So I'm glad you're doing that.
And they change all the time.
Yeah. That's another thing too. It's not like once you learn it, now you're set. No, and tomorrow it's going to be another 302 pages or something.
Yep. Every we get new, they call them temporary rules. Mm-hmm. And then at the beginning of the year, some of those become permanent or they add new rules in. So everything's in flux. It's still a new industry. It's been around, 10 or 12 years now.
Yeah.
But
well, not only is it a new industry, it's such a unique thing because it's you're law enforcement. So you're literally dealing with that side of it. Black market, $1 billion industry. And then all of a sudden you make it legal, but you wrap it in with all these different compliance things and you think you have it all covered, but you don't. So then you got to go back and readjust it. And also when you have the rules in place, doesn't mean they're going to actually roll out that way or be practical or even possible to do some of those things. So then I have to go and adjust a lot of that. One of my favorites was I'd always talk to people and they're trying to renew their license, but they're still waiting for their previous year to be renewed. So it was just always some weird thing that happened in that industry. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah, it makes sense if you don't think about it. It's one of my favorite things to say in that space.
Yeah, we had a lot of people like that. Their previous year was still a temporary license that they'd never gotten the actual, but
and like you said, it's not nefarious. It's not like they're I just didn't do it or I forgot about it or incompetent or anything like that. It was just it hasn't been whatever approved. It's still pending. It's still whatever, some little thing that hasn't been done somewhere else, but you're still responsible for it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, a lot of the rules aren't applicable to like, quote unquote normal businesses that can just kind of do a lot of things. It's a very heavily regulated industry.
Yeah, and that's the big thing too. Is just like it is a business, but you can't think of it that way. It's like it's just so unique. When I jumped in, I was in the cannabis space for a little bit as well, for about 7 years. But I jumped into it because it was our .com boom of my generation. So I was just like, I was in diapers, I think. I don't know. I shouldn't have been, but I probably was in diapers at the time when the .com boom happened. No money to invest. They had no idea what it even meant. But when the green boom came, I was just like, ooh, this is something unique. Multi-billion-dollar industries don't just pop up out of nowhere. Not only that, it was isolated $1 billion. So like Washington's different from Oregon. Oregon's different from Colorado. So even though it's $1 billion industry, it's pocketed. So you're really only able to make a splash in your one area. So I thought it'd be a great idea to kind of go test my skills and develop some businesses and whatnot. And I had a great time doing it. But like you said, it's super volatile, super competitive, and it's go, go, go. So I'm a little more stable and jumped into the credit union space. So
yeah, there you go.
A little more stable over here. A little more day-to-day is like more, you actually know what you're doing. It's like you can actually schedule it out.
Well, it's still exciting. It was very exciting in the beginning, .com, gold rush, crypto, all these things that everybody hears about, and they're like, oh my God, I got to be a part of that. And, but it's, it's been a bumpy road. We've been doing, CannXperts started in 2018, so we're 7 now. And, we've kind of seen it all at this point.
And we went legal in 2000. I was bad with this. 2015, right? Is the first year, or was it 2014? I can't remember. 15, right? I should know this.
Yeah, law passed in 14, and then they had some time to create the structure and the regulatory. Yeah. So we were rolling out.
And within the first 3 years, you identified a new business, a new need, and already came in. That's literally what people do, like .com booms and like the gold rush or whatnot. Like some people go get the gold, and some people provide the shovels.
Yes,
you're providing the shovel, so to speak. You identified what shovel needed, and you made it, and that's pretty awesome. That's really cool. I'm glad.
Yeah. I've actually used that same analogy to my employees.
I stole your thunder. Oh no, dang it. What in your experience, like how has the industry evolved since 2015? I know it's a loaded question because it probably evolves every year, but I feel like it's kind of stabilized after those first 3 years of chaos. How have you seen that work?
Chaos is a great word. Yeah.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos. I like that. How has it changed? Yeah, it has become more stable. Some of the players, that maybe didn't have the greatest business plan or idea on how, this was all going to happen. I saw a lot of people that it was almost like a get rich quick type of thing. And the cannabis industry has not been that. It's been a grind. Mm-hmm. And it's like the strongest are going to survive if you can make it to the end. So there isn't a ton of get rich quick happening out there. We've had a lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of ups and downs. We've had, just in the market itself, we've had regulatory, strong arm for a while, and then it becomes better, and then it's back to being heavily regulated, and all those ins and outs. Seeing a lot of consolidation now, or at least the beginnings of it, that the big guys are going after some of the small. Which in the end, I hope that some of those, we knew a lot of small mom and pop shops and farms and whatnot. And it's, it's kind of horrible to see when somebody has, cashed in their 401k or something for this dream. And then 2 years, 3 years later, they're broke. And so it's nice to see some of the other people come in. At least they can make a little bit of that back and not be. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like everyone always says, well, it's business, but this is again a unique situation. In my opinion, it's kind of like a small microcosm of a free market where anyone and their mom could have a license. In the beginning, it's just like when I first started, everyone's like, oh, I know someone everyone knew someone that had a license. And I was just like, okay, cool, everyone has a license. But then like instantly it started consolidating where like I felt like at the beginning, like 80% of the licenses were unique, and within 3 years it was switched. 80% of it was consolidated, only 20% was unique. So like once it got to I think that first year, call it Croptober or whatever, when everyone was like $3,000 a pound, and then it instantly dropped to $1,500 a pound. And by the end, it's like $700 a pound. With those kind of
with the rates fluctuating like that so much, it's hard to adjust and hard to keep ahead of that. So especially with the business models, like you said, some people came with poor models. Even the best models still failed because you're expecting a certain amount of ROI. And in that industry, most people don't understand that it's not treated like a business. What's the tax code they use? 50? What's the
501c?
501c. Yeah. So essentially, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they basically tax businesses on the gross dollar. So you don't get to write off any of your tax, like your business expenses. You don't get to write off rent. You don't get to write off your employees' expenses or the cost of goods. So you got to pay taxes first, then pay those, and then pay yourself.
Yeah, so that's 280E.
That's 280E?
Yeah.
Okay. I forget which one, whatever the tax codes are. I don't know numbers. I always say 501c3, and everyone's like, that's a charity. And I was like,
yes.
Yeah. So I get those codes wrong. I'm not the expert. Thank
goodness
there.
We have professional tax.
Yeah, that's why we have CannXperts, right? To kind of keep us in line.
We do not do taxes.
Yeah, he's like, get that one out of here. Nobody does tax. Taxes are, I think it's designed that way to confuse everybody, but the profit margins on it were just insane. And again, everyone came with the best intentions. They cashed in their life savings and they promised the world. I remember at the beginning, everyone's like, I love working here because they do X, Y, Z. Everything was about the people up front. But when you're not making the money you're expecting to, the first thing to go is those employee experiences. So yeah, you had every intention to do these things and be by them, but that money's not coming in. Those are the first things that need to cancel. And then the desperation sets in and people are, I just need to make money to make rent, to make payroll. And then that's kind of like how it felt super quick. It was just like almost robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak, like borrowing money and like paying like whatever, like cash terms, like the 30 days, like just getting that money, making that and pay someone else off and just carrying this debt and just, it was chaos. So have you seen that kind of clear up recently in the past? Like, how's that been?
I think the people that were able to pivot and, quickly pivot and make some changes in their operations, yes. I mean, things have stabilized a little bit, at least on the ground level. But yeah, there's still people that are super struggling and trying to get out any way they can.
Well, if you're still struggling, that means you're doing pretty good. Because like I always kind of equate it like everyone's on the same sinking ship, and if your head's above water, you're doing fine. You're not drowning like a lot of the other ones are. But it's not a fun place to be. Still, still heads bobbing around and barely breathing. It's not great to be there, but that's pretty impressive, especially at this stage in the game. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have clients that are doing very, very well, and of all license types. So I'm not saying we had anything to do with it, but I've seen their models and how they've built out, their farms or their retail stores, and you kind of get an idea, what's going to work and what's not going to work, and hopefully be able to steer people in that direction, I guess, when you get the chance to, if they ask you. It's not an advertised thing that we do, but we actually do work with our businesses pretty close and talk to them about, trends and what's going to happen in the coming months or years.
They say imitation is the highest form of flattery, but sometimes if you imitate other people, you need to do it out of survival instincts. If they're doing well, why don't you do what they're doing?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Copy, paste.
Exactly. Repeat if you can. And that's the thing too, is like when you go back to the free market thing, is like that was the cool thing about it, is everyone had a chance to compete. Yes. But it was heavily favored for people with bankrolls and cash flow. And that's obviously not everyone who cashed in their 401k. So it's like, but some of those people they did it right from the beginning. They found maybe they were in maybe Ontario, like those corner markets where there's like, they just were set up in a certain way where they were able to survive. And that one person who cashed in their 401k with $10,000 or whatever got a license, and now they're a millionaire with 5 different stores and a couple processing. There's those stories too. Yeah. They're rare, and those are my favorite ones. But most of it was the other way, where they got gobbled up because some big hedge fund or big whatever VC came in, or some people like with money came in and kind of consolidated everything, and they have the money to just kind of sit and wait until things get better. That happens a lot too, but that's kind of just how markets work. But it was cool to see those people, the mom and pop shops, kind of like get their opportunity and just run with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we ever really turned away people from handing out the licenses, and probably handed out too many. And
yeah, or can definitely, what they say, they grew the first year. There was like they grew like 10 million pounds, or like 10 times more than the entire state of Oregon consume if every single Oregonian was consuming, which they don't. But if it was this, that's what the price drop was. It was great for the consumer. All the prices in Oregon are great as far as products go, but as far as the producing side and the retail side, it makes it harder to hit those margins.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sell something for, some outdoor going for $250, $300 a pound. You can't grow it for that.
That doesn't make sense to me sometimes.
Yeah, we had, I think this last year, I think they grew 4 times as much. So
we're getting better at it. Yeah, coming down a little bit still.
I think people need to focus on quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Stop growing so much.
What are some of the biggest compliance issues in the cannabis space that you just kind of see?
I see a lot of, I don't want to hammer on any one vendor here. We have a tracking system, an inventory system in the space that I know that the regulators rely on very heavily. It's not a very robust system. I'm not going to say their name. Anybody that's listening to this is probably going to figure it out. However, it causes a lot of issues at the production level. And I don't think, if Walmart used this or Amazon used this, they'd be out of business. I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement in
here.
What
system you're talking about.
There's a lot of room for reporting and alerts and things that, people want in a system. And I think when the government, gets a contract to do something, it's not generally the best, it's the cheapest. And, but when they're using it as a compliance tool to, look at these individual companies, and you're trying to work within the system that doesn't work very well, then that's kind of where I see the problem. Other than that, I think there's still a lot of what I would consider like procedural issues, kind of like we were talking about, like a normal business. Like if you owned a clothing store or something and you came in one day and you're like, you know what, I'm going to rearrange this whole thing, and I'm going to move the clothes to that side of the room and the cash registers over there. You could just do it. You could do it, that morning and be up and open. When it comes,
you do it during the day.
Yeah, you could do it during the day. You could change your business. You could change it every day if you wanted to. In this space, everything requires paperwork, pre-approval, inspections, all sorts of things that can take weeks, they can take months. And we still see that people build a greenhouse, plant plants in it, and one of the CannXperts inspectors is out there like, hold it, this isn't on your floor plan. When did you do this? Oh, we did it a couple months ago, and lights in there. We get that quite often. It's like, no, you need to call us first. We have to submit some paperwork. We got to talk to the inspector at the OLCC. We got to get them out here to look at it and approve it. And we have 2 licensing people. That's all they're doing. They're tracking the 320 client licenses that we have. And they're always in some state of renewal, or they're being altered, or they have to, they're getting approval through the city or the county or whatever. They're doing all that. So that's kind of where, here's a shameless plug where we come in. If somebody wants a greenhouse or they want to rearrange their retail store, they normally they call us, and then we start do all that. Otherwise, it just, you lose your passion or train of thought on what you want to do to make your business better. So,
well, the big thing is always just waiting for that response, right?
Yes.
That's the hardest part. Is getting the stuff done. It doesn't take a genius a lot of time. It's just doing it the right way, and then follow up. Always follow up. Just seems to be the thing you have to. That's where all the issues start. I sent the email. Well, did you get a response? I don't know. Yeah, and that's where our people are pretty good. They're in pretty constant contact daily with the OLCC because there's just so many people that they're working with. So, they're on
they're on the phone with those licensing people, or, while they're on the phone, they can be like, hey, I need to ask you about this one. Now let's switch to this one. Where's that at? And so it works pretty great. And our compliance people, we have 2 compliance officers, and they're out visiting the sites all the time. Sometimes they're creating a floor plan for the licensing folks that they're going to submit. Sometimes they're doing a proactive compliance inspection, see if they can find anything that the client's doing wrong. So, and they work pretty closely with the compliance side of the OLCC, the inspectors. So they're constantly kind of learning new things, or what this particular inspector likes to look for.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like you said, this particular, so it's important to know who's good contact, like who are favorable people to know, or people that will help you out in the way you need. So having those contacts, anyone out there that runs a cannabis space, I highly suggest knowing those people. If not, then reach out to Andy, because Andy definitely knows those people. So
yeah, I worked with most of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to get something done, go to Andy. They'll get it done right. So another thing too is, like, if you want to, I mean, it's a loaded question too, I might not know, but like roughly how many retailers / processors are there in the state of Oregon? Do you know roughly?
Oh boy.
I told you it was a loaded one.
That is a loaded one.
Last time I checked was like almost, I want to say 5,000, like total, like of retail, or is it even more now? I don't even know.
Of all license types, I think it's about 2,800. So a little less than that. And then we're in the range of 600 or so for retail. The largest license type is the producer.
So it's about 600 retail, you said?
I believe so. I'm off. Give me plus or minus.
Yeah, no worries. No, I'm going to hold you to this. This is fact. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I thought you were compliant. No, it's ton. It's just, and there's more coming online all the time. That's the thing that's shocking to me, right? Like, people are still opening up retailers and stuff like that. Yeah,
you're getting, right now you cannot apply for and get a retail license or a producer license, and then there's some stipulations on the processor and the wholesale license. But the secondary market, people getting out of business and I want to sell my farm or my license, that's still pretty active.
Oh, okay. So I keep hearing people say, "Oh, open up a new shop." And I was like, I thought their licenses were like cut off, but so those are secondary. So someone might have failed and sold their license, and then someone just, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, then. It's not like we're getting another retailer; it's just replacing a retailer with different. Okay, exactly. That makes sense. Because I thought, because there's just so many. They're so saturated. Eugene, there's like 80 of them in Eugene.
You can stand down on like 6th Avenue and throw a rock. You can see like 5 of them,
and then get yelled at by another one. Get off my lawn. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Another question too. So one thing we hear a lot is that cannabis businesses still have a tough time finding banking options. From your perspective, how important is it for them to have a financial partner who really understands the space?
Yeah, it's huge. We're a dozen years into this now, and there's still not a lot of options for banking. And, this has historically been cash-based business, still is. These guys, like MasterCard and Visa have chosen in their policies to not allow cannabis transactions. There's no federal rule around this or anything. It's literally a company policy on their part. So you have retail stores that are accepting cash and they're paying their vendors in cash. This is a massive cash-based business, as you have probably found out with all of your new clients here or customers here. So it's great, to get rid of some of that, get it into the bank. It's much safer. It's much easier. But and then to be able to write checks on it. I mean, the folks just want to have a normal business, just like everybody else. I want to write some checks. I want to send a wire transfer. I want to deposit some cash. It shouldn't be that hard, but here we are 12 years later, and it's, only a few of you, and I totally appreciate it, and I love CWCU, have stepped up and created the program.
Yeah, Central Willamette's we're one of 2 in the state of Oregon that offer a place that safely house your cash. So come check us out sometime if you have a bank, or if you're in cannabis space and need a place to store your cash safely. Come check out Central Willamette. And I'm plugging. I have some accounts at Central Willamette. We've sent some of our
clients that needed accounts, they love it.
It's so crazy though too, because like I've been a cashless person for, I don't know, I'm an early adopter. I mean, I lose my wallet all the time, so I can replace a debit card, but I can't replace the cash that's in there. So working in that space was so weird, just having to count money all the time. And then money's heavy. Like first time someone handed me $50,000, a check is easy, but if it's like cash, that's a lot. That's a lot of weight to that, and it's terrifying walking around with cash. So it's like super important to find a way to not have to have like all this cash in one place. It's just more security at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had, everybody has a cash counter. Everybody's accepting cash. We sell businesses as well. My wife does on that side of the company, and people come in to put $20,000 down on a business or whatever it may be. So we're having to go through and count all that and write receipts. It's really kind of strange, especially like these days. I have younger, I have kids that are 26 and 30. They would never have cash on them. It's like, it's Apple Pay or it's on their watch
Where do I
or
tap?
whatever. Yeah, they have a debit card. They don't even know what having cash is like. So, but yeah, it's still having a good partner in the industry. Definitely somebody, you guys have been really responsive for setting up accounts, and it's just been it's been good to get to know you.
That's good. That's good to hear too. I appreciate that plug. Yeah. One of those things too is it kind of tripped me out. It's like, in that space, and this is not a knock on anybody, just how it feels. It kind of feels like the state of Oregon's kind of like the mafia, and you're paying them to legally do your illegal business in their state, but you can't put it in their banks. But if you bring it to them, they can put it back in that bank. So like when you pay your taxes, I couldn't go to Bank of America and deposit it, but I can take it to the state of Oregon. They can go back to Bank of America, and now it's tax money. It's not cannabis money. So that's like one of those weird things. I was like, it just seems weird when you look at it from the outside and kind of dissect it. It's like, why can't they just be treated like a standard business and put their money in a bank and use a debit card?
Yeah, I mean, they've never had any trouble banking. So the state.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, where'd that money come from? We don't care. It's ours. It's tax money.
Yeah. And it is a weird feeling. I mean, you mentioned like, you got $50,000 or whatever in a paper sack or
which is terrifying.
Bag.
It's just like, I've never been more paranoid in my life. Yeah.
Just driving around, it's like you're trying to get it from point A to point B, and it's like, there's a different feeling that comes over you when you're carrying a bunch of cash.
But after a while, though, it's like, but it's another bad thing. Is after a while, it's like, it's 50. I don't want to count that. I have to count that much, and then it just becomes an annoyance. And then people start like, it's just another thing, and they're so complacent with it at that point, and that's not what you want to do when you're dealing with that amount of cash. Right. So it's like, it's one of those things that just adds an extra layer that you don't need.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Andy. Well, anything else you want to bring up or talk about, or anything else in the space that, like, where it's going, what you would like to see happen more in that space, or anything you want to close with?
Oh boy.
No, another loaded question. I got a lot of those.
Open loaded question. Well, I think it's interesting times. I'm not sure. It has stabilized, but things aren't fantastic out there at the moment due to just pricing, I think. And but I think we have some interesting years ahead of us. I mean, we just brought on the 25th legal state here last year. We're probably going to see in the next 5 or 10 years the rest of them come on board. Maybe not Idaho. I have no idea, but
there's always going to be those. I mean, some places in Oregon, some cities have the moratoriums and stuff like that. Yeah. So I can imagine states doing the same thing. So
yeah, banking. Thank you. Has always been a problem. Talk of rescheduling. Some of these things are going to get worked out in the next few years. Hopefully, interstate commerce and those types of things. So it should be interesting. It is a wild ride for anybody that's thinking about jumping on board. There's a lot of ups and downs in this industry, and like we talked about, I mean, it's heavily regulated. You guys are fairly well regulated as well.
Yeah, the cannabis, the credit union space is also regulated. We have a lot of compliance stuff as well, but still pales in comparison. Like learning that, I still have to go through those books again, but it's not 300 pages, thankfully. It's like, but I still have to go and learn a lot of the compliance stuff on this end. But again, nothing compared to what you guys go through on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of people knew that, and I didn't know it. And a couple of years ago, I jumped into banking compliance, and I didn't realize just, all the different things. And you have your own examiners that come in and check, check things and SARS reports and all these other little things. I'm not an expert, but I had to read about it to understand it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar where somebody's watching over you and you just can't do anything you want. And so,
yeah, exactly. And for people who don't know, in the cannabis space, everything is tracked from seed to sale, and everything that happens in between is tracked and processed. It's crazy. And as you know, seeds don't start in one place and then they go everywhere. And you should see some of the lists of where things have gone, and before it gets to the end point, they get pretty long. So,
yeah, I think one thing I did want to say is this. I know these people very well. I know, this industry, I know it very well. And I think the credit union is kind of the perfect scenario for them, most of them. And as well, these are very community-oriented people. They're going to be very loyal to you, and they're generally nice people, smart people. So I think the credit union is a perfect fit for the cannabis industry. I just think it is. I think community credit unions, that's where they want to bank.
It fits with the culture more. I mean, the cannabis space is a very community focused space. Yes. Every owner I know, I shouldn't say every, a lot of the owners I know are very focused on taking care of their employees and being a good steward in the community, I guess, or they want to be accepted and seen like everybody else, and they're just really community focused. So having a financial institution that's not for profit, I think, is just a perfect fit for that industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think it's great. I think, and it's a small community. I mean, there's a lot of players in it now, but it's still a very small community. If you're good to them, that word gets around, and vice versa. If people are bad, that word gets around probably even quicker.
Even faster. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, having a good partner, I just love it, and I'm glad you guys came on board.
Yeah, for listeners out there, with Central Willamette, I mean, with all credit unions, actually, you have to be within a footprint. For our footprint, it's 25 counties. Pretty much, if you draw a line right down the middle of Oregon, we're the west side of that. But if you want to look at those 25 counties, you can go to our website and take a look and see if you fit in our footprint, and we'd love to do business with you guys.
And thank God you opened up in Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene, Bend, Newport, and Salem, and Lebanon, and Albany. Those are our cities we're in right now, but expanding into further places hopefully soon.
Yeah, our office is in Eugene, and it's probably 10 minutes from the branch.
That's
they're great. I went in there, I think, for the third time the other day, and Kelly, the manager, comes out, calls me by name.
Kelly's fantastic.
Yes, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And my wife, Sam, had the exact same experience. She's like, I walked in there, and they're like, you're Samantha, aren't you? And she's like, yeah, I've never gotten that at a bank before.
No, I'm blown away. Like that happens a lot. I mean, even our CEO, it's from the top. My first week on the job, kind of nervous, not knowing what's going on. I see this lady walk. I was like, I kind of recognize her. I've never met her, but I saw her face on the thing. I was like, oh, that's Stacy. And then she walks by, hey, Eric. And I was like, oh, my God, how do you know me? This is like my third day here, and I barely knew you. And she just, hey, Eric. And I was walked by, and I was like, oh, my gosh. So, like, that's just kind of the culture around here. It's pretty phenomenal. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and like you said, it fits in perfect with the cannabis industry. Very community-oriented people. So I just think it's going to be
and we're not embarrassed to do business with Cannabis Bank. I mean, we shouldn't be. Like, but still, there's that negative stigma around it. People are like, oh, it's cannabis. Like, if for some reason it still has that whatever negative vibes around it or whatnot, and not always looked at as a scrupulous partner or whatnot. But we just want to have a good place for you to store base. We don't care what you do, how you do it. We just want you to be protected, your finances protected.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that stigma is kind of a weird thing. If you look at different polls, almost 90% of Americans support either medical or recreational or some combination of both. So those are your customers here already. So most of them don't care or they support it fully. So
and that's weird how that kind of still lingers around, but such is the case. Yeah. Well, for listeners out there who want to learn more about you and your business, how can we connect with CannXperts?
Yeah.
Sorry, CannXperts. I said Canna. Sorry, CannXperts.
Yes.
Well, bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a website, cannexperts.com, cannxperts.com. I know it's spelled a little weird. Or our phone number, 541-241-6940. Or send me an email, andy@cannexperts.com. I'll answer it.
Cool. And we'll put some stuff on our website, hopefully, or try to shout out somewhere. We'll have Michelle. She's awesome. She's our business expert here at marketing. So we'll have her put something up for you as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Well, we just appreciate coming down. Thank you for taking the time. This is hopefully the first of many. We would love to have you back again, talk more. I don't think we touched on some of the other things we wanted to chat about, but we'd love to have you back sometime. Or if you have anyone on the staff wants to come and talk about some different things, we'd love to have for that as well. So
yeah, anytime. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate everyone listening today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Business Edge.
The information provided here is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any financial decisions.